Tonight on SportsBuzz, we dive into the NFL and all of its components, as well as college football, the NHL, and the NBA. All that and so much more on SportsBuzz. Hello and welcome to another edition of SportsBuzz. I'm Adam Chambers alongside Marquise Harper, and this is our final edition of the 2017 SportsBuzz before we head into next year. This is my last show ever, but first we have a lot of things to get to, including the injuries in the NFL.
Definitely. There's been a lot of injuries in the NFL, and we talked about it last week, and, players have just been going down at an alarming rate. And I really don't think there's much that they can do about it. It's just one of those years where we got to kind of deal with a lot of these injuries.
Unfortunately, I think you're right, because a lot of them are big-name players such as Aaron Rodgers, Carson Palmer, Julian Edelman, and the list keeps going on and on. And because of that, we're seeing some, the quality of the play isn't too good this year. But let's get to the Steelers injury right now.
He led with his helmet, and I think that's one of the reasons why he reaches for his back there. And that's one of the first things they teach you, don't lead with your helmet. And unfortunately, we see why right here. And, we're all hoping for a quick recovery. There's still no word yet on his condition, but I'm sure, word will come out in the next couple of days or so.
Absolutely, especially with the NFL with the concussion protocol this year. You can't lead with your head. That's an automatic penalty, automatic fine nowadays. So that's one thing they definitely have stressed going forward.
Definitely. Let's check out that Steelers game, though. There was a lot that went on in that game. It was a really close game. It went right down to the wire. We have highlights coming up. Steelers-Bengals. Antonio Brown wasn't expected to play. He warmed up on the field, ran a couple of routes. He was listed as ineligible. And we see here Pac-Man Jones picks off Big Ben's pass. And you see there he grabbed his groin a little bit, another injury. Pac-Man would leave the game. Here's the play we saw just a second ago. Shazier leads with his helmet. He goes down. He would be carted to the hospital. Still no word on his condition. End of the first, Andy Dalton drops back, finds A.J. Green in the corner of the end zone. They go up 10-zip. And we go to the second quarter. Dalton finds Green again, second strike, and they're up 17-0. Steelers looking to answer back. Big Ben finds Le'Veon Bell out of the backfield, and he hits the Walter Payton step, and he goes all the way up the sideline. But wait, is it a touchdown? The ref signals a touchdown. Look here. He tiptoes that line, just barely makes it in, and he goes all the way. Steelers would come back from a 17-point deficit, and they would go on to win 23-20.
All right, now over to the Jets and the Chiefs game. This game was a pretty good one, just what you could expect from a 6-6 and a 5-7 team. But we saw a lot of offense in this one. We're going to see Alex Smith here throw a 22-yard touchdown pass to his tight end, Travis Kelce, for the 7-0 lead here in the first. And then again later on in the first, Alex Smith throws another one to Travis Kelce, this one for 36 yards. Chiefs take a quick 14-0 lead. Later on in the first, it's the Jets' turn. Bilal Powell with the carry to make it 14-7, cut the score in half. And the Jets weren't done here in the first, as this time it was Josh McCown who takes it in himself to tie it up at 14. We're going to go to the second quarter now, where Josh McCown is going to throw an 11-yard touchdown pass to his running back, Matt Forte, to make it 21-17. The Chiefs did kick a field goal right before that. Now we have Alex Smith again, throws an absolute bomb to Tyreek Hill, 79 yards to tie it up at 24 all. And this game gets even more interesting here in the fourth quarter. The Jets down by 1. Josh McCown takes it in again. And the Jets will win this one 38-31. They convert the 2-point conversion. And they beat the Chiefs here in the upset. 38-31. This game was a good one.
That
One
was
of the best,
definitely a
one
good
of my favorite games this week.
Definitely. A lot of action in that game, a lot of big plays.
Right.
In another game we have, let's jump right into some NFC South action where the Panthers would see the Saints. And we go here. First play, Alvin Kamara takes the pitch from Drew Brees. He goes to the outside and muscles his way in for the score. Gronk spike right there. Saints go up 7-0. Panthers answer back. They're on the goal line now. Jonathan Stewart leaping over the goal line, and he gets in. Saints tie the game up at the end of the first. And now we go to the second quarter here. Drew Brees hands off to the former Heisman winner, Mark Ingram, and he goes for 71 yards. And look at the moves there. He brings it all the way down to about the 10, and he is showing flashes of greatness that we saw at Alabama. Definitely a big play. And later in the drive, they give it right back to him. He finds a hole. Saints go up 14-7. He got the little celebration there. Mask on. I don't know what that is. It was cool, though. 3rd and 8. Drew Brees drops back, and he finds Thomas, who is in the end zone, holds on for the score. Saints would go on to win 31-21. He gives the ball to a fan. What a nice gesture.
All right, what a great game that was. We'll see another great game right now between the Seahawks and the Eagles. The Sunday night game was an absolute thriller. We're going to start off with a field goal here. Blair Walsh just kicks a 46-yard field goal for the 3-0 lead. Later on in the first quarter, Russell Wilson throws an 11-yard touchdown pass to his tight end, Jimmy Graham. Just like that, it's 10-0 Seahawks. In the third quarter, Seattle is up 10-3 after the Eagles field goal. Tyler Lockett catches a pass from Russell Wilson to make it 17-3. Seahawks are in control. Later on in the fourth quarter, it's going to be the Eagles' turn. Carson Wentz throws a 27-yard touchdown pass to his wide receiver, Nelson Aguilar, to make it within one score, now 17-10 Seattle. But in the fourth quarter, Seattle would put this one away. Russell Wilson throws a 15-yard touchdown pass to J.D. McKissick to make it 24-10, and that is all Seattle would need. And the final score is 24-10 Seattle. Seattle moves on to 8-4, and now the Eagles are now 10-2 on the season.
Yes, and we have here our NFL analyst, Justin DeVellis. Justin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me for the last show of 2017. Happy to be here.
Our pleasure.
Show.
Yeah.
All right, let's get right into it, Justin. So, why do you think it's important for players to control their aggression at this part of the stage in the season?
So we're talking about what happened last week with all the unsportsmanlike hits, and we're talking Steelers, Bengals. It's important, I think, because, I mean, obviously you can injure people, as we saw with the Rob Gronkowski's hit on Tre'Davious White. So I think, you really have to worry about injuring players. We saw Ryan Shazier too, but so that's the first part of it. And then the second part, I think you have to really control your aggression, because in the case of Rob Gronkowski, you can really cost your team games late in the season. If Gronk's suspension had been 2-3 games, I mean, he may be sitting out that huge matchup against the Steelers taking place on the 17th in a couple weeks. So, I mean, he's a big part of the team. So, I mean, you want to be in games for your team for sure.
We actually have a few words from Gronk in his post-game press conference versus the Bills from the other night, where he talks about the frustration, the aggression that he's been going through the past couple seasons.
First off, I definitely want to apologize to number 27. I mean, I'm not in the business of that. I mean, it was a lot of frustration, and I was just really frustrated at that moment. It just happened naturally through emotions and frustration, and just want to apologize to Tre'Davious White. I know.
And Justin, what are you really, thinking about this after hearing Gronk's words? How do you feel about how players are feeling? There's a lot of tensions boiling in the NFL. It's a very physical game. So, how do you feel that, players should handle this, or are they handling it correctly?
Well, I think Gronk understands that his hit was out of line and that it may have been dirty. I think that his suspension should have even been longer than 1 game. I think what was so messed up about the Rob Gronkowski hit was that it took place, after the whistle. It took place off the field, basically on the sideline. And really what struck me was that he used his brace almost on his left elbow to strike that hit on Tre'Davious White. So I don't think he's a dirty player. I think it was a dirty hit. And, I mean, I don't think he should have had the same suspension as Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think they should have been the same at all.
Definitely. You know, there's a lot going on, and we see it all the time. Players are getting a little bit scrappy on the field. And, you know, why do you think players are turning to violence on the field instead of maybe just walking away as we're taught, you know, all the way through Pop Warner?
Right. And you're taught when the whistle blows, you know, you're supposed to stop, which I get, and sometimes the whistle blows late, or, you know, guys get the extracurricular activities. I mean, hey, listen, I think it's part of the game, obviously. You know, right here, you see the Talib Crabtree hit. I mean, this was from a couple weeks ago. There's no place in the game for that. I mean, Crabtree doesn't even have a helmet on, yet he's going after trying to, you know, punch someone with the helmet on. So I don't know what he's thinking there. And then obviously the choke job from AJ Green and the punch. I mean, that's there's no place in the game for that. You know, there's no place. But Gronk's hit is right there with all those illegal, you know, with those dirty hits. I don't think it was a good play. And I mean, hey, it's football, but what you saw there on those highlights, that's not football at all.
All right, we'll have some more Sports Buzz right after the break. Thank you for joining us, Justin.
Thanks.
We'll have more college football right after the break.
Sports Buzz is brought to you by The Vitamin Shop. With over 300 locations nationwide, shopping has never been easier. Use a convenience store locator or shop online at vitaminshop.com.
Welcome back to Sports Buzz. Let's move on to college football as the playoffs are about to start. Bowl season is just getting started, and there are some familiar faces in the top four, but also some controversy about where some teams stand in the finals here.
Definitely. You know, there's been a lot of controversy. One of the main topics being Ohio State being left out there at that number 5 spot. Another controversy, Bama. You know, normally we see them at the top spot, number 1. They've dropped down to number 4. Teams like Georgia scooting in to number 2. Oklahoma with Baker Mayfield at the helm. They have been a force, and they are sitting at number 3. You look at the other side, we got Auburn here sitting at number 6. Wisconsin at number 7 at 12-1. USC Knights, another surprise. They really had an amazing season winning the AAC championship. They have been on a roll, 13-0. And, you know, teams like Penn State coming in at number 9 and USC at number 10.
Now, Clemson has been great every year so far. Do you think that they could say number 1 next year come also?
Well, you know, I think that a team like Clemson is always going to be in the mix. You know, number 1, I'm not sure if they'll be back at the top spot, but they will definitely be in the discussion for the top 4 teams of the playoffs. And, you know, hopefully we can see them back in the playoffs next year.
All right, so now let's move on to the Heisman finalists. There's been a lot of talk, either Baker Mayfield, Bryce Love. Who do you have?
I have Lamar Jackson. You know, Lamar Jackson is a proven winner. He is an amazing athlete, and he is one of the most exciting players to watch in college football today, alongside Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker Mayfield is an exceptional playmaker as well, along with Bryce Love, but to me, Lamar Jackson exemplifies that dynamic player. You know, he's a guy that I want on my team. I want him making the plays. I want him moving the ball. I want him with the ball in his hands. And we've seen it time and time again. He's made plays when it counted.
That's a good one, but I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield here. I bought into his whole persona, whether he's a one-man show, whether it's on the field or on the sideline. You never know what he's going to do next, but like he's the one that brought Oklahoma to where they are right now. So I think when it comes to the Heisman Trophy, they like a guy with a lot of buzz, and that's why I have Baker Mayfield, because he's in the headlines every week. He's been great all year, and I think if Oklahoma wins, it's because Baker Mayfield had a great game.
All right, well, you know, piggybacking off of that a little bit, you know, if Baker Mayfield was to win the Heisman, what NFL team would you see being the best fit for him?
Definitely a team that is looking for a quick fix at a quarterback position right away. That could be the Bills coming up next year if they lose Tyrod Taylor, or that could be the Giants if they trade Eli Manning.
Definitely. You know, there's a lot of open room for quarterbacks in the NFL right now. We've seen it all over the league. You know, guys have gone down, and even if he doesn't get the starting job right away, you know, we've seen guys like, you know, Aaron Rodgers go down. Brent Hundley had to step up, and he was a highly touted quarterback coming out of UCLA the last couple of years. So,
right. Where do you want Lamar Jackson to go?
Oh, man. Lamar Jackson, I think he could go to just about any team in the NFL right now and make an immediate impact. He's an athlete. He's sort of the Robert Griffin mold, except I see him lasting a little bit longer. He's smarter with the ball. He knows when to tuck it and put his shoulder down. He also knows when to go out of bounds or take that knee. And so, a team that I could see him going to and making an immediate impact would be the Miami Dolphins. I think they need a quarterback. They need some kind of an athlete. Miami University taking all the shine right now in Miami. They're the hottest team, so the Dolphins need to bring it back.
Right. I know I didn't mention this, but I'm hoping that Baker Mayfield goes to the Broncos. John Elway's not afraid to draft a new quarterback and throw him in right away. So I think that'd be a good test for a guy like Baker Mayfield going right to the Broncos right away.
Definitely. If Baker Mayfield keeps it up, he will definitely be going somewhere. So, with that being said, how do you see, teams like Oklahoma in the top 4? What are your predictions for the playoffs?
I see Oklahoma defeating Clemson in the final.
Really? Bold predictions.
Someone's got to do it, right?
I definitely think that Oklahoma has the tools to win the national championship. They have, an amazing quarterback in Baker Mayfield. Love the energy that he brings every week. He always comes out there ready to go, and he's got that chip on his shoulder that you really want to see. Me on the other hand, I know, not to bet against the proven winner, and that's Alabama.
Right.
I see Alabama beating Clemson and then ultimately beating Oklahoma in the championship.
Right. So do you foresee any shutouts? We talk a lot about offenses here, and it's very hard to shut someone in a bowl game. But are you willing to make the bold prediction and say there's going to be a shutout coming up? Or any upsets?
I can definitely see that there may be an upset. Georgia has been a team that's been, on the up towards the end of the season. They've been really hot. So I can see them making some noise in that Oklahoma game and possibly going to the championship. However, as far as a goose egg on the scoreboard, I don't see that happening. There's too many high-powered offensive players on both sides of the ball, whether it be any of the 4 teams, in that playoff. So there's going to be a lot of points, in my opinion. I'll actually make a prediction the other way. There's going to be a lot of scoring.
Right, absolutely. All right, right after the break, we'll be talking some hockey with Gino Ganello and a special guest. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to SportsBuzz. I'm Gino Ganello. Joining me now in our sit-down corner is Tyler D. Pierre Domenico, our NHL analyst. Tyler, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
So, Tyler, we're going to get right into it. NHL season's heating up right now. We're about a quarter way through the season. I think we played about 25 games now. Who are your disappointments so far this season?
Surprisingly, at number 3 for me, I got the Chicago Blackhawks. They have been not great on the defensive end. Too many defensive errors in the defense with taking faceoffs in their own end, going with Duncan Keith, who's one of their star players. No goals, 14 assists, and like a -5. It's not good enough. He has to be better. With their top line producing and not anybody else, it's not good enough. For number 2, I have to say it's going to be the Ottawa Senators. Matt Duchene, the big blockbuster deal trade this year with a 3-team trade. Only 1 goal, 1 assist, and a -11. Not enough for anything. But the number 1 is actually one of my favorite teams, the Edmonton Oilers. They're a one-man team right now with the Connor McDavid. Nobody else is right there with them. He's got 33 points on the season. The next closest to her we have 20 points. It's not cutting it enough to be a Stanley Cup competing team with a guy on the lines of Sidney Crosby. If you're like on the lines of Sidney Crosby, you need to be better in their own end.
No, yeah, absolutely. And the Oilers are a team that we kind of expected to be, on the up and up after last season, having such a good run there in the playoffs and playing so well down the stretch. But transitioning a little bit from your disappointments to now your surprises this season, who do you have in that situation?
Got to be for number 3, New Jersey Devils. They were a bottom team last year. No signs of hope in whatsoever. It's a dismantling team, old, everything. Come in this year with youth, signing one of the best free agents, Will Butcher. They've been 4th on the team with points at 18. They've been just up and at him and just way better. They so far they can keep going with getting a little higher in the standings, but they'll be up there. The Winnipeg Jets are my second team. Top line with Blake Wheeler, Mark Sheffley, and Patrick Laine. They're unstoppable right now. They are producing. They are getting great help from Matt Hutchinson as a goalie. They're just going to keep it up, and they're going to keep up being a surprise team. But my number 1 is Vegas Golden Knights. Nobody expected the Vegas Golden Knights to be even close to this level. They have been producing throughout their entire line. 5 goaltenders were in their system so far in their inaugural season, and they are producing enough to be number 2 in the Pacific Division. It's unreal.
So you mentioned the Knights, and I think that's a great pick because I think everybody's pretty much surprised by him. But why specifically are you surprised by them, and what do you think they need to do to maintain the success that they've had so far this season?
To continue the success, they got to be staying strong in goal. Thank God for Marc-Andre Fleury to come back this season. He's just getting back into it. They're going to really need him down the stretch, but I really do see them being a number one team and strong. If they have enough goaltending to really produce their defense, they're going to be solid. They have three players with over 10 goals. They're just going to keep on line, and they're just going to keep pushing forward and just be better and better.
Yeah, and I think one of the things to point out, you mentioned goalies. You mentioned Marc-Andre Fleury coming back. This team has, played most of this season with like their third-string goalie or their second-string goalie in Malcolm Subban. There was a point in time where I think all the top three were hurt, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely something that they have that they've been able to work around, an obstacle they've been working around, and it's amazing that they're still up near the top. But now you mentioned what your biggest surprise was and why you think they could still be one of the best. But come June, who are your Stanley Cup finalists?
I would love to say the Vegas Golden Knights, and they can be going for the Holy Grail, but they're not up there. The teams that I got right now, the Nashville Predators and the Tampa Bay Lightning, going to be in the final. But I got to say the Predators. They are too strong up front. They have way too much offense. Their goaltending has been solid for years. With Pecorine, he's been unreal. And they're going to continue with a stellar defense with PK Subban and a bunch of other players, and they're just strong in defense and everything. They're going to continue up, and I really do think they're going to win the Cup and be a dynasty team in a couple seasons.
Why can't Vegas be up top, and what would it take for them to get to that finalist spot here in their first season?
They really need to prove their goaltending and their offense. If they can't prove enough, they're not going to be in that spot. They'll definitely be up there, and I would say in the second round, but they're not going to be able to pass that because I don't think they have the experience, and I don't think they have enough depth right now. Because if one player goes down, they need more help.
Well, there you guys have it. Tyler, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your insight into the NHL. We're going to take a quick break right now, but we're going to come back after this with some NBA talk with Marquis and Adam at the desk. Stay tuned. Berkshire Hathaway, or SportsBuzz is brought to you by Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway is, I don't even remember what I was saying. Sorry, Kara. Sorry, Kara.
SportsBuzz is brought to you by Berkshire Hathaway. Prudential Home and Sale is now Berkshire Hathaway. New name, new look, and same great company.
Welcome back to SportsBuzz for our final segment of the night. So let's start off with the NBA. I think the standings are looking just a little bit different than what everyone expected as of right now.
Definitely, a lot of teams have been making noise, and a lot of teams that we thought would make noise have not been making noise. We take a look at the standings right here. We have the Houston Rockets leading the West Conference, and Golden State, a team that we would think would be number one, they're sitting at number 2 right now. San Antonio, always a mainstay in the top rankings. They are sitting at number 3. We look over at the Eastern Conference. Boston Celtics, Gordon Hayward went down, and we thought, the Celtics might have some challenges, but they've been clicking on all cylinders. Kyrie has been just amazing. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, not far behind them. LeBron James putting the team on his back like he always does. They are sitting at number 2. And the Toronto Raptors are making some noise out in Toronto. They are sitting at number 3. Now, Adam, we see the list here. But what is a team that, you think could potentially be making some noise and we might see them on the list in a later month? How do you feel about LeBron and this extra burden that he's been putting on with minutes and, the toll that it's taking?
Well, it's definitely been showing. He's been he's been around a long time now, and he's still not a guy that's really that old yet. He's been kind of the workhorse of the Iron Man of this league. I do think he can stick around a lot longer, and I don't think he's going to really decline all that much. It's just that I think as he gets older, he's going to start needing some more people around him.
Definitely. We see it all the time. LeBron just dominating. He's been putting up the numbers. His play, it seems like he knows when to bring it to that next level. And we've seen that, he's really started to step it up. He said in his press conferences, I'm going to take control of this team. And, he's definitely shown that. So we see the Cavs, and they're, starting to make themselves back to the top of the East, sitting right behind Boston right now.
Absolutely. They have some competition going forward, but we'll see if LeBron later on in the season that he can bring the Cavaliers back up to where they need to be.
Definitely. You know, we've got a lot more NBA action coming up the next Sports Buzz episode. And unfortunately, that's a whole year from now. But lucky for you, that's not that long if you think about it. So we've got a lot more NBA coming up. And we hope that you guys have a happy holiday and a great new year. We'll see you next time on Sports Buzz.